Hey guys, Chris Barber here with Cruises and Beyond. Welcome to our first episode of cruise reviews and travel product reviews. I recently had the opportunity to travel with UnCruise Adventures. Now, if you haven't heard of UnCruise Adventures, I don't blame you. They're a pretty small company. They only have about 9 ships, and they have itineraries in Alaska, in Hawaii, in the Galapagos Islands, in Latin America, and also in the Pacific Northwest. So this was our first time sailing with UnCruise, and it was overall a very, very good experience. It started in Molokai, and Molokai is it's one of those unknown islands of Hawaii. I believe it's the 4th largest of the islands in the Hawaiian island chain, and it is also only home to about 8,000 people. So my first impression of UnCruise is that it's not a glamorous cruise line, as many would be accustomed to. The cruise lines out there kind of sell a more luxury experience, even though a lot of these lines don't charge a luxury price. There are very luxurious products out there, kind of like Crystal Cruises and Silver Sea and Regent Seven Seas and Seabourn, but that's the tier we're not talking about right now. Right now, it's UnCruise, and UnCruise, it's not glamorous, but it's not supposed to be. UnCruise is about expedition travel. It's about active travel. It's about immersive travel. And that's what you get right off the bat when you first board your ship. For us, it was the Safari Explorer, which is only a 36 passenger ship, so you're already expecting a very intimate setting for the next 7 days. But once you board, and for our trip, when we boarded the Safari Explorer, the interior is really nice. It's kind of got a classic, rustic ambiance, but you go in and there's a nice dining area right off the bat, and a nice bar. A nice kind of gathering area for the passengers, and it's actually really pleasant. So you can see yourself relaxing for the next 7 days on the Safari Explorer. So let's go to the pros and cons of UnCruise Adventures based on our one trip. And this is assuming that this one trip, even though it's in Hawaii as opposed to Alaska or Costa Rica, that the level of service that we received here is fleet-wide. The first big pro for UnCruise Adventure is lots of activities. Whether you'll have at least one activity scheduled every day, whether that be hiking, skiffing, kayaking, or snorkeling. And in Hawaii, you're pretty much expecting to go snorkeling every day in the locations that they choose. And the best part about this is that all these activities are included in your cruise fare. But if you're not, say for example, you're just not feeling it one day and you really don't want to go snorkeling on the 3rd day in a row, you can stay back on the ship and enjoy the views from the comforts of the ship. The second pro is the crew. They are the epitome of caring and personable. They're very friendly, very knowledgeable. It's at least for this Hawaii cruise, the crew, the average age was pretty young. I would say the average age was around the late 20s or something like that, guessing, but that seemed that way. Everyone from the captain downward, they made sure that they were ensuring our comfort and well-being, ensured that we understood safety protocol with a small ship like this. And it just seemed like they were telling us the truth about what it's like to travel on a small ship, and what to expect with the weather and the overall experience of being on this small ship as we crossed certain channels in Hawaii where the waves would be bigger than in an area where there were calmer seas. So everybody from the captain down, really, it just seemed like they really cared for our comfortability, and that's a big plus. I especially enjoyed the expedition leaders that we had on board. Their names were Sophie and Lauren. They were both extremely, they both are not Hawaiian natives, but they have lived in Hawaii for a while. And it just seems like they've been living there their whole lives, because they were super knowledgeable about Hawaii's history, Hawaii's geography, and environment. And you know, I can't end the praise of the crew here without mentioning our bartender, Jessica, and all the other bartenders, but Jessica was the main bartender, and she was just awesome. I mean, she knew everything about cocktails, and she created a bunch of her own she made a bunch of her own creations for us, especially during the happy hours on board, right before dinner. And she was super fun to have conversations with anytime we were at the bar. So that's a plus. The crew, excellent. And speaking of bars, the third pro is that all drinks are included. And I mean everything. So even if you're not a drinker, you don't drink alcohol, the bartender on board UnCruise will create any type of drink you can imagine. And even to create drinks that you've never even heard of, alcohol-free. Which is great, because there's so much stuff to explore, especially with all the Hawaiian fruits that they have on board. I mean, there's just such a big opportunity to try different types of juices and whatnot. But even better was that on the Safari Explorer for this Hawaiian itinerary, and this goes year round, by the way, is that they have 100% Kona coffee on board. And like I said, the drinks are unlimited. I mean, if you're a coffee drinker, you're really lucky, because Kona coffee is really good. And all of the service staff are trained baristas, so everybody makes a great latte or cappuccino or coffee, whatever you want. And everything's included. So this is a huge plus for this type of cruise, and especially with such an active cruise, you just need some time to wind down, and going to the bar and getting whatever type of drink that you want without worrying about paying for it is just a really great pleasure. Another pro is the cultural enrichment that you receive with UnCruise. So UnCruise is probably the only travel company that sets up exclusive tours with a man named Anakala Pilipo Solitario and his family in Halawa Valley in Molokai. I think, in my opinion, one of the best things you can do when you travel to Hawaii, rather than just taking in the sights and the food and all that, is to learn about traditional Hawaiian culture and Polynesian culture, because that's where it all began, and that's where our kind of basic understanding of the Hawaiian spirit comes from. You know, we think about aloha and ohana. These are foundations built by the Hawaiians and the Polynesians. It really gets you to critically think about the importance of Hawaiian culture as it endures in Hawaii today, even though Hawaii is one of the states of the United States now. The final pro that I will mention is the happy hour, the UnCruise happy hour, which is something you will always want to attend. If you're on one of these cruises, you'll always want to attend one of their happy hours, because, for one, their hors d'oeuvres are great. I can't begin to tell you how much stuff I ate before dinner during these happy hours. They serve you some good stuff, whether it's like cookies, other desserts, or brie, smoked brie, or anything like that, with the special drinks that the bartenders create. And after like a day full of activities, it's just the perfect time to kind of wind down, catch up with crew members and passengers, and, you know, just talk about life, talk about traveling. It's fun. I can't go on without mentioning some cons, and with all cruises there's going to be some cons, and, you know, with the cons, I have our clients, Cruising and Beyond's clients, in mind, and I think about what you might think would negatively impact your impression of UnCruise. So here we go. With UnCruise, you're definitely going to feel the motion. That's probably the main con. These are really small ships, so their stabilization technology isn't, I mean, there's nothing that can really be done in terms of stabilizing a boat this small. And most of the UnCruise ships are pretty small. I think the max is about 90 passengers, and they have about, you know, they've got a number of ships as well. So when we cross in this Hawaiian cruise, when we cross the Maui Channel and the channel between Molokai and Maui, there was a bit of a chop. But the great thing is that the captain prepared us for this, even on the first day of our journey. He came down and talked to us about what to expect during the nights that we would experience heavy motion. And he even told us, the best thing to do right now is to take seasickness pills. And I did, and it did help. And, I was prepared for the motion. And, there's just, if it's something you can't avoid, you can only just prepare for it. And that's what we did. And the captain really educated us on what to expect. So that was a positive in a negative. You can't really do anything about rough seas, but it's going to happen. If you're seasick, UnCruise is probably not going to be the right cruise for you. It might ruin it might ruin your experience overall. The second con I mentioned because these are expedition vessels and they are small, so your quarters are going to be a lot smaller than what you would expect on a bigger cruise line. For me, I was prepared for this. I had done some research beforehand. I was expecting slightly crampier quarters. But the good thing is that when we got on board and saw our room, it was actually pretty decent for the size of the boat. I mean, we had I had 2 twin beds with my roommate, and there's a separate area for the bathroom, a separate door. The sink is actually on the outside, but that actually, depending on what your maintenance is, that could be beneficial to you. So bathroom is on the outside. There's not really a lot of space to put your luggage around, but I prepared for this. I didn't pack that heavily. It's only a 7-day itinerary, so you don't really have to pack that much. And plus, when you're in Hawaii, it's better to pack light. It's really hot. There's no need to pack any jackets or anything heavy of that sort. We did have one night where the AC wasn't working, and you can imagine what kind of suffering that is when the AC doesn't work in the Hawaiian Islands. So we had to sleep in about 80-something degree temperatures with humidity on full blast. The final con is the price of UnCruise. It is a premium price. They almost charge around the same as you would expect a crystal yacht cruise that's on sale, of course. Usually the crystal yachts would go around $8,000 for a starter price, but when they're on sale, around $5,000. And that's where UnCruise starts their fare. Sometimes UnCruise will promote their per cabin savings of around $700 per cabin, not per person, per cabin, in addition to a $700 air credit. Now, if you're going to Hawaii, this is good. That could nearly cover. I mean, if you get an air deal these days with Southwest in the game and the lowering of Hawaiian airfare, you can probably cover 2 people on a good day. But you're still going to spend around $5,000 with tax. And for 7 days, that's pretty hefty. But that's why I mention it, because it's something to think about. UnCruise is not as glamorous as Crystal, but the one thing they do have is just the experiences that you have on board. There's really no entertainment on board, but it's just the camaraderie that you develop with your fellow passengers and the staff. It's pretty unmatched, I would say. And you got to think about the activities that are included on a daily basis. It could get a little monotonous, so I'd be wary of that for the Hawaiian cruise, particularly. The food is, I would rate that around the 5-star mark. I mean, the food's really excellent. They give you small portions, but you can request more anytime you want. And of course, the drinks are included. The one thing is that gratuities are not included on UnCruise trips. So if you have a good experience, expect to pay around $250 per person. So price is definitely something you have to think about with UnCruise. And if it's not in your budget, you can probably get a lot more value elsewhere. But the one thing about UnCruise is that you just won't forget that cultural experience and the type of activities that you get. You'll have higher chances of meeting new friends on board, and a lot of that's just that's kind of indispensable. It's not replaceable with anything else. So think about that when you plan your next journey, UnCruise adventures. So overall, traveling with UnCruise is And seeing Hawaii from this type of perspective was really, really awesome. And, you know, from the amazing crew, from the amazing fellow passengers who thankfully all were very interesting, very fun, very friendly. You know, we just couldn't have imagined a more encompassing way to experience Hawaii. So UnCruise is definitely high on our recommendation list. If you're wanting to go to Hawaii or Alaska, UnCruise has so many itineraries in Alaska over the summer. Please do talk to us. We have experience with UnCruise adventures. I'll have our website link in the bio so you can see where to contact us. And yeah, so that's it. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and press the notifications. We are going to do more videos like this, reviewing cruises and other travel companies. So catch you later.